Everything changed in the fall of 2009 once she heard what Ben Block had to say.
Well, if this is going to work, I believe in 2010 it's going to get a terrific test. By the time Avatar comes out in 2010, we should have as many as 7,000 theaters in the United States installed with equipment that will allow the projection of 3D. And so a lot of people, and it's been talked about in this conference, see the critical point as the launch of Avatar. That's when the 3D trail turned into the Avatar trail. I was laying low and staying under the radar. That's when Cameron spotted me. But Cameron knows the score, so he didn't blow my cover. He just walked on by. It wasn't long before Cameron texted me on the sly. The text said the fella behind him was someone of interest. Said his name was Pace. Vince Pace. Said he was one of the guys who knew what was up behind this 3D thing.
Vince, can you talk a little about the camera that you've developed to shoot and capture 3D?
I think a lot of people refer to it as a camera, but really what we did together with James Cameron was to kind of develop a platform for capture in 3D, which is a little bit different. Well, its hub, it is an 11-channel motion controller. So there's 11 channels of information being manipulated, if you will, whether that be zoom, focus, and iris, convergence controls, interocular controls. They all contribute to this synchronicity that needs to happen for good 3D palettes.
Marge took Pace at his word. But it wasn't enough for Marge. Nothing was. I figured Marge had let up on the whole Avatar trail once the picture came out. But you know Marge.
I think the mark of every great director is their ability to take ideas from other people and funnel them through their own perspective and find what works for them.
Joyce Cox, visual effects producer.
Janice Taschin, associate producer.
Chris Marino, visual effects editor.
Skip Kimball, DI colorist.
John Rafua, editor.
Steve Rifkin, editor.
He acknowledges this is a collaborative thing that he's doing, and everybody gets to come along. Now, ultimately, he makes the call, and
if you can contribute something that he can see in some way services the film in a better way, he will absolutely adopt it.
And the nice thing also is that when we all settle on, and Jim says, okay, this is good, I like this, then you didn't go back and mess around with it too much more, unless there was something else that came up that, a story point that maybe affected something earlier. So we didn't, change things too much past a certain point.
Interpretation of the template was something the facilities had to start to understand, because they'd send a shot in and he'd go, what's this? I had the light coming and there was a shadow and a leaf, and you go. So you'd look at the template and go, yeah, I see it now. But you wouldn't on your own necessarily see everything that he saw and what he put in the frame.
The thing with Jim that he wanted what he wants, so you give him that. But he was also open to,
absolutely.
Well, Jim, here is another thing that I thought you might want to look at. This is what you asked for, and here's something else. Right. And then would you like to take a look at that?
But you can never not give him what he asked for.
Yeah.
You always have to do that.
He was always open to, 99% of the time he was open to looking at things that, we had thought maybe there's a different way to do it.
I say to people all the time when you're working with Jim is take yes for an answer. When he's been very specific and tells you what he wants, at least have that. And you're 80 to 90% of the way there. And then anything else is just a plus to the scene or to the movie or to the shot or whatever it is.
A director is always very conscientious of what's going on in every element of a film, but he was actually hands-on, using the camera, involved in the editing, overseeing all of the visual effects. What was it like having a director that was that integrated in every element?
I find Jim, he's a lot of fun to work with. He's very verbal and very communicative.
Marge decided to take a different tact. she figured it'd be a good idea to ask about performance. I'll tell you more about that next time.